This program is dedicated to those that paid for their lives at the hands of the state. From the West Michigan studios of WKTV, let's go inside for Silent Voices.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Silent Voices. Today we have a special guest host. Judith Fay will be introducing and talking to a couple from the Battle Creek area. This is a grandmother that has lost her grandchildren and a mother that has lost her children through the system. It's Ruth Mcqueen and Sherry Small. So let's go to that interview.
I met Ruth several years ago now, wasn't it, Ruth?
Yes, I believe so.
You were that persistent lady that kept calling me on the phone all the time. And so finally I decided we ought to meet up, and you have quite a story to tell. So you've lost your grandchildren, and what would you like to say first?
Well, I was very devastated when they took the two grandchildren away from my daughter. We loved them very, very much. They would spend a lot of time with us. We took them to the parks and on picnics and different things. And every time they had a problem with their bite, well, I always took care of them from the time they were born, practically. And they just loved their grandma and grandpa very much. They used to put their grandpa's hair up in ponytails. And we done just, well, I babysat them while their mom worked. And they always liked to come over to our house and stay on the weekend. And we had a couch that made into the bed. And one little granddaughter called that the couch Betty. She always wanted to sleep there. And we had a spare bedroom. We wanted the girls so bad. We wanted to adopt them. And they wouldn't let us because they said we were too old.
You lived in a nice mobile home park, and
yes, I did.
You still do, actually.
Yes, and they had a good play area. There was a playground area there where we would go. And I also had a spare bedroom, and I had a partial bath in it. And we told them...
You had a nice big double wide.
Well, it wasn't a double wide, it was a good single wide, but it had 3 bedrooms in it, so it was very nice. And the front bedroom had a partial bath in it. So I had it all fixed up for the girls, and they were supposed to come and look at it, but they never did.
Who didn't come and look at it?
The caseworker, Joe Baker from Berry County.
Oh, okay.
So,
but you had them staying with you regularly? And...
Oh, yes, almost every day that they was at my house, yes.
Uh-huh. So, did you babysit them when their mother was working?
Yes, I did.
Uh-huh. And you took them all over. You took them to the fairs.
Oh, yes. We took them a lot of places, and they just loved their grandpa very much, too. And one time, Shannon, we always, when our grandpa would mow the lawn, well, I'd always fix him a bottle of, a thing of tea to take out to him. And so one time they came, and Shannon came running in the house and said, Grandpa wants some tea. So she wanted to make it for him. So I showed her how to do it. And then she took it out to him. Then she wanted to try and mow the lawn, too. So he let her try to do that. So,
how old was she?
Probably about 8.
Uh-huh. Well, that's a good thing to do with Grandpa.
Right.
Mow the lawn.
And then one time we had watermelon, and Sandy come in and got a piece of watermelon. Her grandpa was out in the yard, Sandy's the youngest one, and so she said, went outside with a piece of watermelon. Grandpa says, "Where'd you get that?" And she says, "In the house." He says, "Well, get me some too." So she went and come back in the house and got him a piece, and they were both sitting out in the yard in the chair eating the watermelon. And a neighbor's lady started going by, and she pulled into the yard and stopped, and she got out of her car with the camera, and she says, "Oh, that looks like something my Grandpa and I would do." So she took a picture of them sitting there eating the watermelon.
Do you have that picture?
No, I don't. I
Oh,
never.
that's too bad.
She was supposed to bring it back to us, and she never did. So
Uh-huh. But she was a neighbor, right?
yes.
Wow, that's neat. So you did that for quite a few years.
Yes, I did, and very much, even though. And then they stayed the week before they were taken away. They spent the week between Christmas and New Year's with us. So had I known that they were going to take them, I would have kept them at my house.
Sure, I'm sure you would have. So, Sherry, you were a little north of there when things started happening with CPS, is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And why was CPS called?
because my youngest daughter, my oldest daughter, her dad had called and said that the girls were being malnutrition. So the CPS worker come over to check it out, and he said, "Well, he said they look just fine to me. There's no problems, no whatsoever." And the oldest daughter's dad had an issue with the fact I'd let her eat broccoli fresh out of the freezer. So I talked to her doctor, and the doctor said as long as she wanted to eat it that way, there was no problem with it because she was getting it just the way she wanted it. So,
I hear broccoli is really, really good for you. I don't like it myself, but she loved to eat it frozen out of the freezer.
right?
And Dad called, and that's why he complained to
Yes.
CPS?
Yep. Because he said she was being malnutrition because I wasn't feeding her properly and everything. And I was giving them, the girls 3 meals a day, 3 square meals. Their meat, fruits, and their vegetables. And
Uh-huh.
they'd have potatoes and stuff like that with it. And
Sure. So that's how the whole thing started. And then you were working in another town, and Grandma was taking care of the kids, and
right,
then you did move as well.
right.
So when did you ever have any fear that the children were going to be taken away, or did you feel like CPS was helping you?
Well, I never thought they were really helping me. I had a feeling they were going to take them, but it was just an intuition. I didn't really think they would. It was just in my head, well, why are these people bothering me, I have no reason to have them around. And
So how often did they bother you?
they were coming at least once a week and doing like a well child check with the girls,
Once a week.
once a week.
And they had been told there was nothing wrong with the girls and they were healthy.
Right,
And so they just kept coming and coming.
right.
And you couldn't ever get them out of your lives.
Right. And then eventually I had them to the point where they took my children because the place where I was living, I had roaches and stuff like that in it. So
Too
then
many
they said that was unfit for living for them. So, and then when we had the visitations, the girls were, we had visitation rights, and when they were getting ready to say their final goodbyes, Shannon had made this picture that she gave to me, and and it says Angel Mom, and then up in the corner, it says to Mom from Shannon.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's really cool. What's on the back of that also?
And then on the back, she had drew the picture of Mom herself.
That's good.
And then the
That's really
first
good.
time I had ever went to visitation, it was for a Valentine's. She had given me this little Valentine card, and it said, to Mom and Dad, I love you. And then on the inside it says, I love you guys, I wish to come home. So that really confuses me, that at that point she said she wanted to come home, and then turn around when they turned around and took them away from me permanently and terminated my rights. At that point, they said she didn't want to come home.
They said.
They said she didn't want to come home.
Right.
So
they may
it
have-
makes me feel that maybe somebody had put something into her head to not want to come home.
Yeah, or maybe they had, like I've heard in other cases, they take children and wine and dine them and take them to amusement parks and various other things to
Well, they had took her to a sauna. Mom showed me a picture of where she had went one year for her birthday to a sauna.
wow, yeah. So they give them all kinds of special treats. So, doesn't seem quite fair. But I want to get back to your apartment. There were roaches, right? And did anybody help you with that problem? Did you ask your landlord to clean
No.
that up?
I asked them if there was a way they could get rid of it, and he never gave me a reply, never came back to talk to me any further about it, and DHS never done anything to try to help me conquer the situation.
They told her.
Yeah.
They told her she had to find another place to live, but she had no money and no job, so how was she supposed to get a different place?
Yeah, but she did anyway. She found a better place.
Well, she left later.
Yeah.
Yes, I eventually had left. The guy I was
And moved.
with at that point, he had ended up in jail for beating a dog for animal cruelty. So while he was in jail, I got a divorce from him, and
Well,
I
she
moved
left
back in with my mother at that point.
Yeah. And then you got a nice apartment.
Now I have a nice apartment, yes.
Mm-hmm. So, really, and then you fixed your house up special too, because they kept telling you
Right.
that you had to have a better place for them to live.
Right.
So
Well,
you-
she did. When she got her apartment in Ionia, that nice apartment, she had a nice two-bedroom apartment, and they told her that she had to fix one bedroom up just special for the girls in case they come home. So we did that, and we even bought them a new outfit and had it laying on the bed for them, and had the dressers and, toys sat in there for them. And then the caseworker never came over and looked at it.
Wow. So you had two places, nice places for them to live. And they never helped you fix up the original place, which may have been questionable, but I know there's a lot of children brought up with
Right.
cockroaches, and they do turn out quite well, the children do, even though we don't like the little critters, So, seems very strange. Seems like if you'd had a little help, it could have made your life easier.
Well, what upsets me is that the DSS, or social services, will pay people to take care of the kids, take them away from you, and they'll pay people to take care of them. But what do they do to help the mothers? If they would have helped her get an apartment and helped her do better, then she could have kept her kid.
Sure. And nobody loves your kids like you do.
No.
Strangers
And
don't.
they say that you're not supposed to traumatize your kids. Well, what do they do when they take the kids away from their families and away from their mothers? These kids, for 2 weeks, we didn't see them. These little girls were crying for their grandma and their mother, but they couldn't see them. We couldn't see them until finally the caseworker said the kids are wanting to see their grandparents, you can go now to the home where the foster parents are and see the girls.
And they promised you that you'd be able to see the girls and that the foster parents would let you see the girls.
Yes, we have been able to see them from time to time. I have pictures. They send me pictures of them. They have sent the letter Sandy has of me and I've received them from Shannon also that told how much they love us.
That
and
looks really cute.
every time we get a card or anything from them, they say, "We love you, Grandma. We miss you. Hope to see you soon." And I write to them all the time.
And what was the arrangement? I think they got you to sign off.
Yes, they did.
And have you
Yes.
been able to see them?
No,
Not since then, no.
but
Really?
they tricked her into signing off. They
They
told,
did?
yes,
They
they told
me
her,
that if I signed off, when I signed off, that they would let my sister adopt them. And that is not what happened at all. After I signed off, they still turned around and let the foster parents adopt them.
Wow. So they tricked you.
yes.
So,
She said she would sign off if they would let her sisters adopt them. And so they let her think that that's what was going to happen, and they didn't, because her sister wanted to adopt the two kids. And then they said later in the statement that the sister said that she would let the kids see their mother if she got them. And my daughter never said that.
really?
Yes, they did trick my daughter. They asked her how often would she see the kids if she got them. And she didn't know that. She wasn't, how often would the kids see their mother if she got them. And she didn't know that she wasn't supposed to let them see them. And so the daughter, all she said was maybe once or twice a year when we have a family get-together. So then they twisted that around and she said they would let the kids see their mother if she got them.
And the adoptive parents are going to be really nice and let you see them also, right?
Yeah, we have, at the beginning we saw them quite often, but now she has adopted 3 more kids, so she has 8 kids altogether. So she doesn't have time for us to see them very much anymore. We saw them in July, and that's the last we've seen of them.
In July.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did have visitation with the girls to start with, my oldest daughter come in the first time when the grandparents could come in with the visits. And she looked at me and she said, "Mom, the foster mom said, would I rather live in a rich home or a dump?" And at that point, you're not supposed to say nothing bad about them, and they're not supposed to say nothing bad about you. And that just kind of hurt me real bad because they didn't even know what my place looked like because they never checked it out like they were supposed to do.
Yeah, right. Now, you haven't seen them since July. Have you called and asked?
I've called and asked, and Shannon, when I saw him in July, Shannon's the oldest one, she talked to me and she said, "Grandma, I would like to see my Aunt Teresa." That's the one that wanted to adopt them. "I'd like to see my Aunt Teresa and her cousin Kyle," because her cousin Kyle was real close. She said, "I'd like to see some of my family." And she wants me to make a family tree for her because she wants to know all of the family members. So I have somebody making that family tree for her.
She asked for a family tree?
Yes, she did. And
Nice.
that's being made right now. And then what I want to do is get family pictures of each one of the family. I have 8 children, so I have 21 grandkids and stuff. So I've been trying to get pictures of the family members so I could make her an album with all of the...
So, not only are they missing you and their mother, but they're missing the whole extended family
Yes,
as well.
it sounds like it. Yes.
Yeah. Did you do a lot of family things together with them?
Yes,
And
we
I know you
did.
went to
They
the
always went to
fair.
family reunions with us and things like that. And when we had holidays, the family always got together. So
Also, what do they do with these 8 children, the other children, to get back to the other foster children in the home? What do they do after school
what did who do after school?
in the foster home? I know I'm changing subjects on you kind of quick here,
Right.
but we're getting lower on time, and I want
Right,
to get this
yeah.
point out. You say something about they come home and they go in the basement?
Oh yes, they play in the basement at the foster home. The kids go down there and play a lot together instead of while she's doing other things. And then now that she has the 3 little kids, the older kids have to help take care of the little kids.
Oh, what is the mother doing?
Well, she's busy probably. She works full time. Her and her husband both do. And an aunt lives there too, so there's 3 adults and 8 kids in that home.
Wow. So she works full time.
Yeah, she's
And the kids-
she's a dental hygienist.
The kids sit in the
And
basement.
he works for Michigan Bell.
Wow.
And then the aunt that lives there, the foster adopted mother's sister lived there, and she works also.
So the kids kind of come home from school and take care of themselves? And
Shannon came home one time. She had to walk from the main highway down to her house, which is probably a quarter of a mile. And she got there early before her now adopted dad, it was foster dad then. She got there home early and the house was locked. She couldn't get the garage door open. So she had to sit out in the cold until he got home, wait until he got home so he could let her in the house.
And she's the oldest one.
Yes,
Was she 12?
yes, I think so.
About 12 years old.
About 12.
Okay.
Judith, another thing that kind of bothered me when we were in court for all this, her dad, well, one time when we went to court, my court-appointed attorney gave me a paper, and he showed me the paper where her dad had spent 10 days in Ione County Jail for molesting her, my oldest daughter, and then it was wiped right off of his record. He didn't have to register as a sex offender or nothing. Then a couple minutes later, they went in, and then he come back out a couple minutes later with a whole different set of paperwork, and it had nothing to do with that on there. So, it just kind of bothers me that he even had to be there when he had given up on her in 2003 and wanted no more to do with her. He called me at work in 2003 and says, I want no more to do with my daughter. I'm done.
Wow.
And then another thing they did was they called him into court. And why did he have anything to say about what happened to the girls when he had given up on her for 3 years? But when they had the final say in the court, she was talking with her lawyer. I sat out in the room, waiting room, and here he was, him and his wife and his mother standing there talking to a lawyer. Now, why did he get called into that court and have something to say about where those kids went and what happened to them?
Right. That does seem strange. It really does.
And there's not a day that goes by that I don't get up, and when I look at their pictures, every time I look at their pictures, I sit and I cry and wish and think back and say how bad I wished I would have never done this and never lost them, because it hurts so bad every
Yes.
day.
Whenever I see the girls, I always take lots of pictures and I bring them home and give her some so that she sees the girls through the pictures. So
And what do the girls do when they see you?
give me hugs all the time, and when they write to me, they always put hugs and kisses and I love you, Grandma and Grandpa. And talk to us. They did call us Thanksgiving Day and talked to us a little while. I called first, and then because I didn't get around to sending them a card, So they did call and talk to us Thanksgiving.
That's really sweet. I'm glad you can see them when you can. These children, these girls are so fortunate to have two grandparents. Is Grandpa around? Can we get Grandpa around here real quick or not? But two grandparents that totally love these children, and not many children have that. You know,
There's not a day goes by but what we talk about them and think about them. There's Grandpa.
Come on, come here, Grandpa, real quick.
Hurry up.
Here's Grandpa, who loves these girls also. And you wish you could see them more too, right?
All the time.
Yes. And what do they do when they see you?
I'll put it this way, they go circulating nuts
They give him hugs and kisses.
They're happy to see you.
all the time.
That is really great.
He gave them nicknames too. The youngest one is Squeaker and the oldest one is Hot Rod. And Sandy, the youngest, used to always, when Grandpa would sit and butter a slice of bread at the table, she would sit there and say, Grandpa, will you butter me a slice of bread too?
And one time he went over to the coffee shop and she ran out the door and said, I'm going with Grandpa. So she went and followed Grandpa to the coffee shop.
We had coffee now.
Wow, that's just fantastic. I hope I can do something for you. You know, this system is just wrong and we need to make change.
Well, I don't like the way CPS comes in and takes people's kids. They take more and more kids all the time, and it's devastating. I've seen so many people just so hurt and upset because they've lost their kids.
I heard that that's how CPS gets paid, is from taking people's children.
I think you may be right.
Well, that was quite a touching interview that we just seen here, and it's hard to believe that the state of Michigan would tear families apart like this. This seems like a very nice and very good family. We want you to join us next week right here, same station, same time. If you have any comments, suggestions, or you'd like to be a guest on our program, you can email us at miparentalrights@gmail.com. That's miparentalrights@gmail.com. We also have a social network I'd like to see you join. That's miparentalrights.ning.com, miparentalrights.ning.com. Until next week, remember, your voice can make the difference.